Have you ever watched a movie like Star Wars and seen a creature so amazing you wondered if it could be real? In The Mandalorian, we meet a fearsome beast called the Mudhorn. It is enormous, covered in shaggy fur, and has a single powerful horn on its nose. It charges with incredible force, a true monster of its world. While the Mudhorn itself lives only in science fiction, its design was inspired by incredible animals that once roamed our own planet. Our world's history is filled with creatures just as strange and wonderful as anything you might see on a screen, giants that walked the earth long before people built cities or wrote books. These real-life monsters weren't just stories, they were living, breathing parts of our planet's ancient past. The connection between movie monsters and real prehistoric animals is a fascinating one. Filmmakers often look to the past for ideas, because nature has already created some of the most impressive designs imaginable. The Mudhorn is a perfect example of this. It looks so believable because its features, the thick fur, the muscular body, the single massive horn, are all borrowed from a real animal. This animal was called Elasmotherium, and it was so unique that it earned the nickname the Siberian unicorn. It wasn't a magical horse, but a colossal rhinoceros that lived during the Ice Age. Exploring the story of Elasmotherium is like being a detective, piecing together clues from fossils to reveal a lost world. Imagine journeying back in time, not to another galaxy, but to the cold, windswept plains of ancient Eurasia. Here you would find herds of woolly mammoths, cave lions hunting in the shadows, and our incredible Elasmotherium. This was an animal perfectly built for survival in a harsh and unforgiving environment. It was a heavyweight champion of the Ice Age, a true giant whose story is just as exciting as any space adventure. By studying its bones, we can bring this magnificent beast back to life in our imaginations. We can understand how it lived, what it ate, and why it eventually vanished from the Earth forever, leaving only its impressive fossil legacy behind for us to discover. This journey into the past shows us that our own planet has a history filled with wonders. We don't need to travel to distant stars to find awe-inspiring creatures. They are right here, buried beneath our feet as fossils, waiting to tell their tales. The story of Elasmotherium is not just about a big extinct rhino. It is a gateway to understanding the vast and incredible story of life on Earth. It reminds us that the line between fantasy and reality can sometimes be blurry, and that the real world has produced animals that are truly the stuff of legends. So let's leave the world of starships behind for a moment and meet the real-life Mudhorn of our own planet. So, what did this real-life unicorn actually look like? Forget the graceful, slender horses you see in fairy tales. Elasmotherium was a beast of immense size and power. It stood taller than a grown man at the shoulder, nearly 2 meters high, and could stretch over 5 meters long from its nose to its tail. It was a heavyweight, weighing up to 4 tons, which is as much as a large delivery truck. This was no delicate creature. It was a solid, muscular animal built to withstand the challenges of its time. Its body was covered in a thick, shaggy coat of fur, much like the woolly mammoth, which acted as a warm winter coat against the biting winds of the Ice Age. The most famous feature of Elasmotherium was, of course, its horn. Unlike the rhinos we see today, which have horns made of tightly packed keratin fibers, scientists believe Elasmotherium's horn was something truly special. It grew from a large bony dome on its forehead, right between its eyes, and it was enormous. Some estimates suggest this single horn could have grown to be 2 meters long, taller than most people. It was likely used for many things: media group, giant hyena fossil, cave lion in a museum display, prehistoric animal battle scene, axe stock key distribute equally, defending itself from predators like giant hyenas or cave lions, clearing snow away from the ground to find frozen grass to eat, and possibly for impressing other Elasmotherium during mating season. It was a tool, a weapon, and a symbol of its strength. This giant was a herbivore, meaning it only ate plants. Its teeth were perfectly designed for grinding up tough, dry grasses that grew on the cold plains. Unlike the Mudhorn, which lived in a rocky, muddy canyon, Elasmotherium was an animal of the open grasslands. It would have spent its days grazing, much like a modern cow or bison, but on a much grander scale. Its long legs were powerful, allowing it to travel vast distances in search of fresh pastures. Imagine seeing a herd of these giants moving across the frozen landscape, their great horns held high. It would have been an unforgettable sight, a true spectacle of the prehistoric world. Fossils of Elasmotherium give us all these incredible details. Skeletons found across Russia, Ukraine, and Central Asia have allowed scientists to piece together its appearance and lifestyle. Every bone tells a part of the story, from the size of its legs revealing its weight to the shape of its skull, showing where its massive horn once sat. These fossil discoveries are like puzzle pieces from an ancient time. They help us build a picture of an animal that was both bizarre and magnificent, a true giant of the Ice Age that was perfectly adapted to its cold and challenging home. Without these fossils, the Siberian unicorn would be lost to time forever. Elasmotherium did not live in the lush jungles or muddy swamps we might imagine for a giant beast. Its home was a vast open landscape known as the Mammoth Steppe. This was a unique environment that stretched all the way from Eastern Europe across the plains of Siberia and into parts of China. During the Ice Age, this region was not covered in thick forests, but was a huge dry grassland. The climate was cold and windy, with long, harsh winters and short, cool summers. This was a tough place to live, but Elasmotherium was built for it. Its thick fur coat provided insulation, and its strong body could endure the extreme temperatures that defined its world. This giant rhino shared its home with a spectacular cast of other prehistoric animals. Herds of woolly mammoths, with their own shaggy coats and long, curving tusks, were a common sight. Woolly rhinos, a smaller cousin to Elasmotherium, also grazed on the tough grasses. Reindeer and ancient horses galloped across the plains while predators were always lurking. Fearsome cave lions, much larger than today's African lions, and powerful giant hyenas hunted these large herbivores. Elasmotherium's size and its formidable horn would have been its best defense against these dangerous hunters, making it a difficult target for even the most determined predator. It was a key player in a complex and dynamic ecosystem. Unlike the Mudhorn from the Mandalorian, which laid a large, furry egg, Elasmotherium was a mammal, just like us. This means it gave birth to live young, and the mothers would have cared for their calves, protecting them from danger, and teaching them how to survive. A young Elasmotherium would have stayed close to its mother for several years, learning where to find the best food and how to use its growing horn. This is another important difference between our real-world giant and its science fiction counterpart. While the Mudhorn is a solitary monster, Elasmotherium was likely a social animal that lived in small family groups or herds, moving together across the vast, cold steppe. The story of where Elasmotherium lived is written in the earth itself. Scientists find its fossils in ancient riverbeds and soil layers that date back to the Pleistocene epoch, more commonly known as the Ice Age. These fossils are often found alongside the pollen of grasses and hardy shrubs, confirming the type of environment it called home. By studying these clues together, we get a clear picture of its world, a wide-open, wind-swept land of grass, ice, and giants. It was a world very different from our own, but one that was perfectly suited for the incredible Siberian unicorn to thrive in for hundreds of thousands of years. How could such a magnificent creature simply disappear? The extinction of Elasmotherium was not caused by a single sudden event, but by slow, unstoppable changes to its world. As the last ice age came to an end, the Earth's climate began to warm up. This might sound like a good thing, but for Elasmotherium, it was a disaster. The vast, cold, grassy plains of the Mammoth Steppe began to shrink. Warmer, wetter weather allowed forests and wetlands to spread, replacing the dry grasslands that this giant relied on for food. Its entire world was changing, and its specialized diet of tough grasses became harder and harder to find. This climate change was the main driver of its downfall. Elasmotherium was a highly specialized animal. It had evolved over millions of years to be the perfect grass eater in a cold, dry world. When that world changed, it could not adapt quickly enough. The forests that grew were not suitable for a large grazer built for open plains, and the types of plants also changed. Unable to find enough food to support its massive body, its numbers began to dwindle. Around 29,000 years ago, the last of these magnificent Siberian unicorns vanished forever, leaving behind only their bones to tell us they were ever here. Their story is a powerful reminder of how even the strongest creatures are vulnerable to changes in their environment. Interestingly, the memory of Elasmotherium may have survived in a different way, through legends. Some historians believe that ancient peoples who lived alongside these animals for a time may have passed down stories of a huge one-horned beast. Early travelers in Russia and Central Asia might have found their massive skulls, with the prominent bump on the forehead, and imagined a creature with a single majestic horn. These tales, passed down through generations, could have been one of the very first sources of the unicorn myths that later spread across Europe and Asia. The real Siberian unicorn was not a magical horse. but its legacy may have sparked one of the world's most enduring legends. Learning about animals like Elasmotherium is more than just a fun history lesson, it teaches us a vital message for today. The story of its extinction shows how fragile ecosystems can be, and how deeply connected animals are to their habitats. Today, many animals around the world, from modern rhinos to polar bears, face similar threats from climate change and habitat loss. By understanding what happened to the giants of the past, we can make better decisions to protect the incredible creatures that are still with us. The Siberian unicorn is gone, but its story inspires us to be better caretakers of our planet, ensuring that the amazing animals of our time do not suffer the same fate.